Hello and welcome to iBuzz. I'm your host Nosheen Bukhari with lots of entertainment news from showbiz world. First things first, let me quickly take you to the top stories of the day. Lily James and Sebastin Stan channel Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee for Hulu limited series. Northampton Film Festival claims it intimidated Canes to change the date. Miley Cyrus sang a Mother's Day special tribute in SNL performance. FBI unearths file regarding Kurt Cobain's death after 27 years. And Elon Musk makes a Saturday Night Live hosting debut with Dogecoin quip. And now coming to the top story of the day. Lily James and Sebastin Stan channel Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee for Hulu limited series. Both Lily and Sebastin are basically unrecognizable in the first photos of the pair transformed into Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee, respectively, for the upcoming Hulu limited series Pam and Tommy. To discuss this further, we have Mark Jarvis, who is an actor and a presenter. Mark, welcome to the show.
Morning, hello.
And alongside, we have Jemma McCarthy, who is a presenter and a TV host. Jemma, welcome.
Good morning, thank you.
Lee and Anderson are aware of the series, but they're not involved creatively, the creative team. Do you think that they're doing the right thing by not directly involving Pam and Tommy into the movie?
Well, if it was me, I have to say I would quite like to be involved in this kind of movie, but I know from previously when the tape was leaked, Anderson was getting very stressed out about it all, as you would. So if it's a stressful subject for them, then you can imagine they'd be quite happy to take a back seat and let it be told in the way that's being perceived. But yeah, personally, I would want to have more of a say, but I'm not sure that that's been too much of an option for them.
Right, right. And Mark, talking about the right kind of cast, of course, there is no second thought when there are actors like Sebastin, Lily, and of course, Seth Rogen. As Stan and James are able to effect a stunning resemblance to their real-life characters, do you think that they will be able to perform accordingly? It's not only the looks, but it's the performance as well. So do you think that this was actually the right kind of cast?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. It's a really difficult performance to pull off for both of them, for Tommy Lee and for Lily James playing Pamela Anderson. I'm a massive Lily James fan, and I'm happy to admit had many a crush on her over the years. But I think, you know, she's a brilliant actress and she's done many different roles. So I'm sure she will be able to pull it off. But it'll be interesting to see because Pamela Anderson's like one of the most famous people on the planet. And I'm sure Sebastin Stan will do a good job of Tommy Lee as well. Because they're real people as well, you've got a lot to base it on. So they'll have so much research that they can do. So I think they'll have a lot to put into those performances. And it'll be fascinating to see how they do when it comes out.
Right. And Jemma, do you think that this duo will succeed to score some solid ratings for the movie?
Oh, absolutely. It's such a controversial topic and it's an exciting one as well because I haven't seen too much about them recently. And obviously the actors are huge right now, lots going on for them. So I think it's going to be one that people tune in for all different reasons, but I do think it will be popular.
Right, right. Mark, Sebastin Stan and Greg Gillespie, the director of the movie, they have previously worked together on the movie I, Tonya. So do you think that there's going to be a character repetition for Stan in this one as well?
Well, no, and I think that'll be very much down to the director as well. I think there'll be a clear distinction between the two pieces. But also, I think with actors, I mean, I started out as an actor as well, and I grew up doing loads of student short films. And sometimes you do like 5 different films at the same time, and it's hard to like distinguish between the different characters. But with things that are as big as I, Tonya and as big as Pam and Tommy, they will have done months of research and they will have had time to prep for these roles because they are such massive characters. And I think having that relationship with the director before, there will be an understanding of what is expected of Sebastin to hit those roles. So I think also having that team back together from I, Tonya, which was such a massive success, just only makes it even more exciting as well as a project.
Right. And Jemma, what are your thoughts? Sebastian Stan has already played a character of an abusive husband in I, Tonya, and rumors are that he's going to do the same in this movie as well, because there was a very complicated relationship between Pam and Tommy. So do you think that there is a possibility of character repetition?
I can see why could be considered, but he's such a huge actor. He's done so many roles, and he's recently finishing all different kinds of roles. So I would imagine that someone like him would definitely be able to differentiate the characters. And as Mark said, there's so much to go off of. There's going to be so many differences that I'm very certain they'll be able to pick up on.
Right, right. And from this movie, what are your expectations regarding the entertainment viewpoint?
So I think it's going to be an amazing one. I think that everyone's going to get on board. I think that it's going to be more serious than a lot of people would like to see. Because, I mean, you see characters like Seth Rogen going in, you'd expect it to have that comedic charm, which it probably will. But this is a serious story, and it's real people's lives. So I think it's going to be quite a serious one, but I think it's one that everybody's going to tune into. I don't think it's going to be just another series. I think that from the older generation to the younger are all going to be interested due to the choice of characters and the storyline.
Right. And Mark, Seth Rogen, he's starring as the man who stole their tapes. He's also producing the series with his creative partner, Evan Goldberg. So where there is Seth, there is comedy. We do expect some comedy because Seth is known for that. So do you think that this can be a comedy movie at the same time?
I mean, there may be elements of it, but if he's playing the character of the person who stole the tape, I would wonder how much room for comedy there is in that, because that is such a serious topic. He has to be very careful. And I think also Seth Rogen will be he's so good at comedy. He's one of the best. But there is an element of, like, you know, he's a very good producer as well. And he will know that there's a line where he's got, you know, there's times for like moments of comedy, but in terms of the storyline, especially for the character that he's playing, there is going to have to be some seriously hard-hitting moments. And I think because he's done so much amazing comedy before, we sometimes forget actually how good of an actor he is just in general, doing any sort of role. So I think it might almost be quite nice to see him do something a bit more serious.
Right, right. And what are your thoughts on the uncanny resemblance that they tried to depict? I mean, at the first place, when I saw the picture, I thought, it is Pam and Tommy. So the remarkable transformation that them both were given. What are your thoughts on that, Mark?
Yeah, do you know what, right? They posted 2 photos on Lily James' Instagram, right? There was one of her just looking at the camera, and I was like, wow, she looks amazing, and she does look a lot like Pamela Anderson. And then there was one of her and Sebastin, right? And I only knew that it was her and Sebastin because I could tell that Sebastin slightly looked like Sebastin. I mean, he looks so much like Tommy, but you can tell it's kind of him in this photo. But Lily in that photo is Pamela Anderson.
Yes.
And I was like, wow. I was like, they do look very... Wait, is that... it took me like 20 minutes to figure out if it was actually Sebastin and Lily or if it was Tom and Pammy, and I was like, what? I was like so confused. It was like do you know the blue and gold dress when you're trying to figure out if it's blue and gold or pink and white or whatever? It was like that for ages. But yeah, it's amazing. The team who are working on the design have just absolutely smashed it, and I think huge congratulations has to go to them, surely.
Right. And Jemma, what are your thoughts on this opening image? I mean, did it stun you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It's incredible, isn't it? It's one of them ones you have to keep double taking. It's just incredible what people can do with makeup, hair, and costume these days. You've got obviously so many incredible series out there right now, like The Crown, for example, that does similar things. It absolutely transforms people. So I think it would have been a disappointment, really, if it was any less. But they have set a new bar.
Right, right. And Mark, tell us about the consistency in the story. I mean, do you think that there's going to be a lot of substance, because apparently it just seems to be revolving around that one incident that happened and, you know, made this couple a very controversial one. So do you expect any consistency and more additional drama in this movie?
Well, I think in terms of consistency, they will have spoken to some people who had a connection to them. I think it would have been daft not to, because you're kind of almost making it up or going off experience that they all had when the storyline happened. A lot of the people involved with the series would have been alive and remembered a lot of it anyway.
Correct.
But I think in terms of the actual the subject itself, I think with something that big, especially stealing some sort of tape like that, there are multiple different avenues you can go down. So I reckon there'll be definitely enough substance for like a chunk of a film or like a few episodes of a series. And then how much more is substantiated on top of that, it'll be interesting to see for sure. But I think a lot of it hopefully will be based around truth, I think.
Right, right. And Jemma, any closing remarks?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how they deal with it. It wasn't just the tape, the scandal at the time. You had the whole fact that they got married in 4 days, and everything around it is busy and exciting.
Right, right. Mark and Jemma, thank you very much indeed for your time and discussion.
Thank you very much.
That was Mark and Jemma with their thoughts on the new Hulu limited series, Pam and Tommy. And now moving to the other story details of the day. The Northampton Film Festival that hoped to go head-to-head with Cannes has joked that the French event may have changed its dates as it felt a little intimidated. Northampton Film Festival will take place online between 12th and 19th May. It had originally been planned at the same time as the Cannes Film Festival, but the famous event on the French Riviera has been moved back to July. Singer and songwriter Miley Cyrus recently dedicated her SNL performance to both her mother and grandmother. In the performance, Cyrus sang one of her godmother's, Dolly Parton's, greatest hits, Light of a Clear Blue Morning, and had fans in tears with her soulful melody and lyrics. The FBI unearths file regarding Kurt Cobain's death after 27 years. The music legend was said to have taken his own life on April 5, 1994, through a single shotgun blast at that ahead. As per the police at that time, who has claimed that a suicide note was discovered next to the dead body by an electrician. However, in the years following his death, many theories had emerged suggesting that the rock star was murdered. The file made public by the FBI about Cobain's death last month is based on the theme of public uncertainty. Tech giant Elon Musk made his highly anticipated Saturday Night Live hosting debut next to Miley Cyrus, claiming that he's the first to host the comedy show with a syndrome. The billionaire began his monologue by addressing an audience in more than 100 countries about how he is the first person with Asperger's to host SNL. The tech mogul's mother, May, also soon hopped on the stage next to him as they quipped about Dogecoin, the cryptocurrency Musk has touted. His SNL appearance unleashed a wave of excitement among investors in cryptocurrencies, and the currency prices had surged ahead of Musk's television appearance. We hope that this entire show wasn't about Dogecoin, but if it was, all the best to Elon Musk. We will be right back after a quick short break. Don't go anywhere, stay tuned. Welcome back. In this segment, we will be talking about a collaborative film production. Generally speaking, filmmaking is maybe the most collaborative environment ever created to form art. To make a certain kind of film, you need to know how to get others on the same page in an incredibly collaborative environment. To further understand this concept, we have filmmaker Jawad Sharif for a discussion. Jawad, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nosheen.
So Jawad, tell us, that is filmmaking a collaborative effort itself?
Interesting. I think filmmaking in general is a collaborative effort. It's a teamwork, and I think there is no other way. And sometimes I feel there is no other choice. As an independent filmmaker, I strongly believe bringing other creative individuals with same goal on board. It's such a, it's very important for the project, and it's very important. It's very important to take that project on industry level, on industry scale.
Right. And Jawad, do you see any difference between a traditional filmmaking and a collaborative filmmaking?
I think the traditional filmmaking is a collaborative filmmaking. So I would say that independent filmmaking or maybe solo filmmaking is different from traditional filmmaking. Uh, for example, the films I make and the projects I do specifically when it comes to the documentary projects.
Right.
So those are like kind of independent projects, and most of them are like solo projects. But generally, most of the projects are collaborative projects, and there are pros and cons of both uh, of the aspects. Like if you are having collaboration, so it's really good for your projects because you are bringing other creative professionals on board, because
Providing them
as
with
one
more opportunities.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the other thing, like as a single creative individual, you don't have all those skill set to complete the production or to complete the film. The production has lot of domains, and
Right.
you
So the
can't
workload
be.
gets shared that way.
Yeah, yeah. So you can't be, I mean, you can't excel in all of the domains here. But
Right.
so there are projects who doesn't require, I mean, lot of team. So those projects are, I mean, if I talk about documentaries, so and actually I shifted towards documentary because of the reason, like there are projects which I can do, for example, observational films and for example, character-driven films where I don't require a lot of team and lot of production or the artist or the set and lot of big crew, and I
Right.
can do projects and the projects I can do without all those crew members. So
Right.
so those it really depends on the subject of the
Right.
project and the
Right.
films you make.
Right. And tell us about the coordination. How does that behave? And does coordination become challenging at times in collaborative productions?
I think collaboration is really good, and as per my experience, it really helped me because there are, for example, to bring like very good producer on board and to bring line producers on board, and on other and like technical individuals on board. It always help you, but sometimes it gets difficult when I mean some individual with different I would say like with different nature and with
And
different way of
caliber.
work.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's bit difficult to collaborate when your chemistry doesn't match.
Right.
But again, I mean, in general, if it matches, and if you look at the teams even in the local industry or in the international industry, so you see like most of the director producer they always collaborate with the same
Yeah.
individuals, like one director is working again and again with
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
cinematographer,
They
and the
don't experiment
cinematographer,
much.
yeah, so generally they work in their own comfort zone, and the people they feel comfortable with.
Right, right. And tell us about the international collaborations and how these international film collaborations can, benefit our cinemas, and, they can better the situation of the cinemas.
Uh, I think international collaborations are really important, and looking at our film industry, where we don't excel in most of the technical aspects of the film, so we really need creative and technical individuals from the international cinema, from Hollywood, even from Bollywood, so because we can bring those technical professionals or creative professionals on board, and we can increase the quality of our films and the outcome of our films, because I strongly feel we have like very good stories to tell.
Yeah.
And those stories really it requires very large scale of productions and very like advanced technical skill set, and which we lack in our local industry at the moment.
Right, and is it only the equipment, or do you think that the filmmakers they require training to come up to the mark? Because when we see like documentary filmmakers like you who are working independently, so do you think that there is a need of training, or it is only that the equipment is required to have better productions?
Nosheen, it's not just about equipment because nowadays equipment is very easily accessible, and if you don't own the equipment, you can always hire or rent an equipment. It's all about your technical skill set, and I strongly feel that we need required those technical training. We really need help in the creative training as well, and it is, I mean. So because we have never been to the process, you know, our cinema is still it's, I think it's getting born again. If you look at the screen right now, the new filmmakers, they are doing experiments, and but what happens, like generally if you're a cinematographer and if you're a visual effect artist and if you're even the special effect artist or makeup artist who is not technically sound, and the film which requires like technical technical advancement, and at that stage, you know, I mean, you really need professionals from and you really need collaborations.
Like there is a need to mentorship in this field, right? So being a producer yourself, Jawad, tell us that what do you enjoy the most? Is it the collaborative production, or do you like working solo, individually? What is your preference?
Nosheen, for me, I really love, I mean, the collaboration and the collaborative production, and as well as the individual and solo filmmaking. So the projects, the commercial projects which I do, I love to collaborate, and I love to bring people on board, and I love to collaborate with other teams as well. There are a couple of projects like it's like fiction feature films where I am collaborating with other teams, and it's like kind of, I mean, you know, you start learning new things as well. I think you open new dimensions for your skill set as well, and it's like kind of, I mean, it always grooms you. And on other end, the solo filmmaking, I think for me, the independent or solo filmmaking is a catharsis for me, you know. So I enjoy being alone and to do experiments, but I feel like even in the end, like I always need feedback, I always need support from other other creative professionals. I mean, so somehow production or filmmaking in general is a collaborative effort.
Right, and do you think that at some point these collaborative films can become a little difficult when somebody's, you know, so used to working on their own pattern, but then collaborative filmmaking is something that is all about inclusivity, where you have to, you know, accept and work according to the adaptability. So do you think that it can be difficult for some filmmakers who are so used to working according to their own pattern?
Of course. I mean, it's not just about filmmaking. Wherever you are doing teamwork, it gets, I mean, difficult at points. If there are other individuals or there are other team members who are who are not on at same page, and somehow like the creative process is like it's very complicated process, you know. And every individual has its own way of thinking and its own way of doing work. So it gets difficult at some points, and I mean, I don't know I keep looking at the news and I keep listening even from my friends, like there is that film set and it was a big fight there between the director and the cinematographer, and the things are so sometimes things get worse, but it's like very very rare. Generally it's like it's like
So we
it's
can say
always
that there are good aspects and there are like some challenging aspects to this.
yeah, I think it's
to
there are
this genre.
challenges, but
Yeah.
it's really, I mean, because if I am going to make team, I will bring
Mm-hmm.
people or the professionals or creatives
Right.
who I mean who alike who think alike. I mean, you know,
Right. So
all
that the troubleshooting gets easier. Right. Right.
yeah, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Jawad, thank you very much indeed for your time and discussion.
Thank you so much.
That was filmmaker Jawad Sharif with his viewpoint on collaborative filmmaking. And that is it from today's episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to share your feedback on the social media link mentioned down below. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care and goodbye.